So in a previous video, what I did is I created a way for our player to basically shoot. What I want to do is actually make that more of a power-up. So just so you get an idea. Yeah, let's see. Right. So right now you can shoot basically. He lifts up his skirt and shoots the little dude out, right? Like he's having a baby. Okay. So, but I want to make that a power-up, so you can't do it all the time. So what I'm going to do is actually make like almost like Mario, where you hit a box and a thing pops out, and then you use that. Okay. So what we're going to need to do is make the object that we pop out, right? So what I'm going to do is create a 2D object, sprite, and we're going to call this LootBox. That's just, I don't know, it makes sense for the name. And then you're just going to need a graphic for it. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this UI sprite, and I'm just going to make it, I don't know, purple, we'll say. There we go, just so you can see it. Alright, so let me go to scene so I can see it here, and I'm just going to make sure I zero out my Z transform, and I'm going to put it right here so it's out of the way of the guy. I'm going to scale it up a little bit more so it's like the size of one of those boxes, we'll say, like that. Alright, so that looks acceptable. Now what I want to do is add some components to it. It's going to need a box collider because I want to be able to hit it. And it's going to need another component. I'm going to need a rigid body 2D. LootBox because it inflicts with the existing box collider. I don't know what's going on. Oh, I did box collider. I needed box collider 2D. Whoops. Alright, rigid body 2D. Alright, so now if I hit play, it's just going to fall, which is fine. We're going to fix that in a second. While I have the rigid body, I don't want it to be able to rotate, because we're going to make it so we hit it, and when I hit it, I don't want it to spin. So we're going to take freeze rotation off. It's underneath constraints if that's closed. Then the other thing I'm going to do, which is going to be a neat little trick, is I'm going to add another component, and this time it's going to be a spring joint 2D. And basically, I'm going to take this little... basically what it does is that there's this little knob right here, and watch what happens when I play. It's going to basically swing off of that. It's kind of like having like a rubber, well now I'm in the way, hang on a second. So it's just, now I'm in the way, but you can see it's just basically hanging off of that thing. Okay, so I'm just going to take it, I'm going to grab, this is the part that hangs off of, I'm just going to make it and pull it and it'll snap right to the center. And I'm going to adjust a couple things down here. So the damping ratio, I'm just going to go ahead and do like 0.25. That'll make it a little more dampened, and then I'll just do 0.75 for frequency. Okay. You can play around those numbers, and you can kind of see how much it's going to spring and whatnot. So now that I put those in there, just so you can kind of see, I'm just going to go over here, and you can see, ooh, yep, it wiggles. So you can play around with the numbers to make it a little bit better. It's also a little bit too low. It's going to drop a little when you go to make it, so you might have to adjust it a little bit. So I'm going to go up a little bit higher. Hopefully, come on, grab the little, really? Come on, spring. There we go. And then I'm just going to make sure that I can get underneath it. They're a little annoying because you have to like, okay, good. And now I can hit it, and you can see, woo, I'm sitting on it. Don't worry, I won't be doing anything too nuts. Anyway, so there we go. I feel like I need to add some more adjustments here, but I'm just going to leave it like that for now because that's fine. I don't really care. The other thing I'm going to need is the actual power-up, so I'm going to make that object while we're at it too. So another 2D object, and it's again going to be a sprite, and we're just going to call this power-up. And I'm going to go right here, and I just need something that's going to represent it, and I'm just going to do this little knob, and I'm just going to make it this bright, weird green. Okay, so I'll put it over here, and that is going to need some components as well. So I'm going to need the box collider 2D, and I'm going to need also the physics 2D onto this rigid body 2D. Okay, and this will be my power up. Yay! All right. So what I want to have happen is that when my guy goes over here and he hits this, I want this power up to pop out of it. Basically, that's the idea behind it, right? Sounds great. Okay, so yeah, let's get that working here. So what we're gonna do is using the we're gonna use Ontriggerenter. Okay, so oops, I gotta use the player script. Sorry. So I'm gonna go to player controller script, open that up, and that's gonna pop over in here. And I'm going to do it right inside of here. So what I'm going to do is just add another one. So if you remember doing, let's clean that up a little. I'm just going to do it We'll do it after fixed update. So you remember doing Ontriggerenter? Basically, if you enter a trigger, it will happen. This one is when you hit something that has a collider. That's how it works. So we're going to do void on collision enter 2D. So you can see it's like Ontriggerenter 2D. And then instead of doing a collider, it's going to be a collision 2D. And we'll just name it COL. And then I'm just going to go like this. Okay, so basically, if we hit something, it's going to do whatever. But much like when we do the Ontriggerenter, I don't want it to be anytime we hit anything, because literally we're always hitting the ground, we're walking around on it, right? So I only want it to be when I hit that box specifically. So I need to add a trigger to, or a tag, basically, to this, okay? So I'm just going to go up here, and we're just going to add a tag, hit this, and we'll call it LootBox. I'm bad at this. Box. All right, so LootBox. And I'm gonna go back to LootBox and make sure that the tag is actually on there. Good. Okay, so we're gonna say LootBox. So we're gonna say on. Oh, sorry, not on. If COL, that's the object that we're hitting. That's where it stores. Dot game object dot tag. So the tag on the game object that collider is attached to, or collision is attached to, if that is equal to, and it's going to be loot box, right? So basically, if it's that, you're going to do a thing, okay? And the thing I want it to do is I want it to basically create that power up, right? So to do that, it's going to be instantiate. And then if you remember, it needs the object and the position and the rotation. But I have no way of telling what the object is, so I need to add a thing here. So I'm going to do public. This is going to hold the PowerUp object that I want it to instantiate. So object, and we'll call it PowerUp. Boom. Okay, so we're going to attach this inside of Unity. But so basically I want to instantiate the PowerUp object. And we're just going to go ahead and do the col.transform.position. So we're going to use the position of the collision object. So basically the loot box. And then the rotation, we're just going to go ahead and do quaternion.identity, which just means it's going to set it to 0. Okay? And if we save that, go to Unity. And it's not going to work initially because I have to go to my player script here. And where is it? And you see it needs that PowerUp object. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make that a prefab, so I don't have to like worry about it all the time. So I'm going to go to my prefabs folder here in my assets. So there we go. Go back to the player now, and I'm going to grab the PowerUp, and I'm going to drag that to the PowerUp object underneath that script. Okay. So now it should instantiate that object when we hit it. So I'm gonna, there we go. Yay. So now I'm gonna go like this, and if I hit it, yay, there it is. But you might notice that, woo, I get all the ones that I want. It's a never-ending tree of these balls. That's great. Okay, but that's obviously not what we want. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this now that it's being instantiated. So what I wanted to do is do it once, but not again, right? So we could do this a couple different ways, but we can make a variable that we just turn on once, you know, and if once it's been hit. But I think an easier way of doing it is actually, let's just do a couple of things. So besides when I hit it, I want that when I hit it, it actually, that it stops springing. Like, you know how when we hit it, it bounces? I want it to stop doing that. But if I, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to destroy, I'm going to get rid of that spring joint. So you're just going to do destroy, and then the thing we want to destroy is going to be the COL game object dot get the component. I want to get a component, and it's the spring joint 2D. That's what I want to get rid of. Okay. So basically what's going to do is that when I hit it, it's going to destroy it. I'm not going to go back and play it for you. I'm just going to tell you right now. So if you destroy that spring joint, what's going to happen as soon as you hit it, the box is going to fall because there's nothing keeping it up in the air anymore. So after I destroy that, I want to get rid of the rigid body as well. So I'm going to go destroy, blah, 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 and instead of spring joint 2D, it's just going to be rigid body 2D, okay? And basically you'll see that now when we go to hit it, and if you want to do something different, like replace it with a different thing, or just actually just have it go away, you could just destroy the game object. I'm going to have it just destroy those two things, so that way it just sits in the air. And so you'll get the idea, so watch. So now you can see it doesn't wiggle anymore, okay? But it is still spouting out balls, which is no good. So, but at least now when we hit it, it stops doing that. So you could change this with something else if you want. You could just not remove those things. That's also fine. But now what I can do is actually test whether those exist or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, after we hit it that it's an object, I'm going to also, after that, I'm going to test if col game object dot get component, and the component I'm going to test for is spring joint 2D, and what I'm going to say if, oops, and then we'll put this in quotes, and I'm just going to tab these in here real quick because I like to keep it clean. So basically we're going to say if, so we're going to, on the object that we hit, we're going to grab the spring joint, but if that is not null, meaning that if it exists, do this. So basically, the first time we hit it, this will exist, that spring joint is there. But the second time we go to hit it, it won't be there because we destroy it the first time. So basically, it won't run this again. It'll only instantiate this the one time because once you hit it, you know, it'll just pass over this and it won't happen anymore. Yay! So save that. And that works as far as that's concerned. Now what we need to do is make the object, the other thing work, right? So let's go over here. And I'm just going to play it so you can see that it works, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now you'll see I'll hit it, and then it pops out a little booger for me, and then I can grab it, right? So that's great. But it's not actually doing anything. So what we're going to do is, if you remember, we have a script for the player pickup, right? So we have that player pickup object. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to my player pickup script. Okay, and right now we have this Ontriggerenter 2D, and just as a reminder, so we have this player object, right? We have the graphic underneath. The player object handles all of the moving. It's got my box collider, that's the inside box. So when I hit stuff, that's what it does. But then this outside box is actually this player pickup. So anything that's in that box, this is the one with a trigger on it. So anything that goes in that, it's going to run this script. So on that player pickup script, I already have a couple things. I have the finish, so when we hit a door, I also have a score item, which I'd put there. I also have lives. So I'm just going to go ahead and do another one, else if, and we need to make another thing for the other one. So let's do, let me see, where's LootBox? I need to go to my prefabs, and I need to go to my PowerUp, and then in here, I need to add a couple of things to this. For one, I'm going to go ahead and make sure this box collider is a trigger, so that the trigger... Oh, wait, never mind. That doesn't have to be like that. Sorry. But I need to add a tag to it. So I'm going to go to tag, and there's none in here. So I'm just going to add a tag, and I'm just going to call it PowerUp. Okay, so that'll be my PowerUp tag. Go back to PowerUp. Actually make sure that PowerUp tag is on it. Okay, so now that PowerUp, this little dot currently, yours can be whatever you want for your graphic, that will now have that tag on there. So now I can test against that. So I'm going to say else if col.tag, so the object that we hit, if that tag is PowerUp, right, then we can tell it to do our PowerUp. Make sense? Yes, it does. Okay. So, we have that player stats script. That's working fine. let's look at the player stats script. Well, what I'm going to have it do basically is have it that when you hit it, I'm going to have a timer that it adds to for how long you get your shooting ability. All right, and then we're just going to test that for whatever. Okay, so we'll go ahead and I'm just going to do a public float, and it's going to be a PowerUp time, I guess we'll call it. And what we're going to do is go ahead and we're going to do GameObject.find, and we're going to go ahead and find the player. I think it's just called player, right? And then on that, I'm going to get component. Component I'm going to get is the player controller script. And then in that player controller script, I want to change a variable. Okay, so basically what I want to do currently, the way that it works, we have this. I have this thing right here. It says, oh, if you press fire and the shoot timer, I have this shooting thing, right? So I want to turn this on basically, so that it will run until a certain amount of time. So what we're going to do is up here, I'm going to make a variable. It can be private, I guess. Private float, and we'll call it PowerUp timer. Okay, and we're going to set that initially equal to 0. Okay. So we'll do PowerUp timer. Timer 0, and then so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do kind of like we did here with this with this shoot time thing. Basically the same principle here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it up, and what we're gonna do is also on this we're gonna say and time is less than the where are you at? PowerUp timer. So basically the time has to be less than that PowerUp timer, right? In this one, we want the time to be less than the shoot time, or sorry, greater than the shoot time. PowerUp timer, we want it to be less than. Might change that actually, but anyway. So what we're going to do is that. So I'm going to we have that set up. And go to player pickup script, and what I'm going to do is, so what did we call it? We called it PowerUp timer. PowerUp timer. I'm just going to copy this. Okay, Control C, player pickup script, and what I'm going to do is dot Control V. So PowerUp timer. Basically, what I want to do is give that a value. So what we're going to do is PowerUp timer, and we're going to set that equal to time plus the PowerUp time. PowerUp time. Okay, so basically we're going to take whatever the current time is plus the PowerUp time, and then add those together. PowerUp timer. Why is it giving me PowerUp? Oh, I got to make it public. Whoops. I made it private, so that can't get access to it. So I got to make this public. Public. Okay. PowerUp timer. All right. Fantabulous. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to take, we're going to set that to this, whatever the current time is, plus PowerUp timer. Okay? And then in here, what we're going to do is that will get reset by that. And then, yeah, and then this will run as long as both these things are true. So we're going to go ahead and save that. Go to Unity. I'm going to click on this player here. And I just want to, I'm going to take my shooting time, or not my shooting time. Where are you at? Am I on player? There it goes. Okay. My shoot interval, I'm just going to make that like 0.25, so it's a little bit faster. And then the PowerUp timer, we'll make it like 10 seconds, we'll say. Okay, so that way I know that it works. All right, so play. Okay. Okay. Oops. Okay, so yeah, that's what I was worried about. So I gotta go back here, and this actually needs to go this way. Should be the same as the other one. Save that. Okay. Come on. Alright, it didn't play. Let's try it again. Okay, so I can't shoot. I'm going to go ahead and hit this. Right? Make sure I got that. And let me see. PowerUp timer. Oh, there it goes. Okay. And I should be able to shoot for a limited amount of time. Let's see. Okay, so I think what it's doing is actually waiting till that time comes up. So I actually have to make one quick change here. So just hang on. Okay, so my code did work. I'm just an idiot. Basically, let's just remove that. Okay, so everything is hunky-dory here on the player pickup script. Leave it like it was. I put these parentheses in here. You don't have to do that. That was fine. And then on the player controller script, just make sure that it is the way that I said before. It should be while time is less than the PowerUp timer. That's also fine. Okay, what I had originally, not this way, but this way. The reason why it wasn't working is because I'm an idiot. It actually had nothing to do with the code. I went on player, and this actually has to do with using bad names for variables. I went on player, and then I put PowerUp timer, and I made it 10. That's not the variable that gets sent. That's the variable that is the one that lasts. Like, that's the counter. But the one that actually gets sent over is this one. So you got to go to the player pickup script, and the PowerUp time, that's the one that controls the time, because that's the number it sends. I had put 10 on this one, and not this one. So it's got to go on the player pickup script, not on the player object. I'm an idiot. So now if we hit play, you'll see that when I go to do it, I can't, apparently I can shoot right now. But when I go to hit this, oops, sorry, hit it, okay. It will work for a while, and I'm just going to keep hitting it, and then you'll see it will eventually stop working. See, it doesn't work anymore. Yeah, so that's pretty good. The reason why I think that's working is that my PowerUp timer should be, oops, not that one. That should be 10. Thank you. And player, that should be 0 on the player one. There you go. Now it doesn't work. It's because I had 10. I started off with 10 seconds when I put it on 10 there. So it doesn't work. Go over here, hit this thing. Boom, I hit that. Yay, it worked. It's going to work for 10 seconds. There's one other problem, though, because this actually doesn't go away. I got to make that go away, too. So that's fine. That all works good. Back on the player controller script, or on the player pickup script, besides, after we do that, we should destroy the object. So just do, just like that. We could just copy this bit here. Control-C. And Control-V. So we'll just destroy the object after we get the points. And now it will work. Sorry for the confusion. I just literally, it's really bad names to name this PowerUp time and then this one PowerUp timer. That was just dumb of me. So my bad. But you know, I'm not smart. So anywho, yeah. So now that works. So there you go. There you have your timer. All right.